Hey everybody, Jamie Pate here. Welcome to this video. This is a part 2. Can't wait to show you what I have in mind. Let's get going. Okay, so today, like I said at the really quick intro, we have a part 2. Last time on the channel, I shared the idea, what I called embellished postage clusters. I'm not sure exactly I called them that, but that's kind of what I finally landed on. It was the idea of being inspired by this Motor Scrap metal die set. And in that video, we crafted this cluster, as well as one that I have now put in here, a very flat cluster. You all responded to this, those of you who have seen these already, responded to this beautifully. So I'm really thankful that I was able to share something with you that you could connect with and decide, hey, I can do that too. So then I came about making this one as well as a separate one. But it really became a variation on a theme coming from this one die set, and I just enjoy doing it. And I mentioned in there, maybe I should do a part 2 because I had a couple more ideas. So today's about those couple more ideas. So still jumping off of this whole Motor Scrap idea, I am going to use what is a 3x4 cutaway from the Crafty Garden 49 and Market. And you can see I've already used this a couple times. This is from a 12x12 sheet, and it has what are cutaways, right? And let me show you what one looks like that has been put to work already. It's this one here, and this we made in the loaded envelopes class that I taught, and I actually trimmed this one out, but it's great having a friend like you was a really fun sentiment. But that's what these 3x4 cards are. I just think this blue card here is beautiful. So this was going to be an idea based on something that already exists. In that video, I show you how to make a real simple inky background. And we're actually going to be using one of those again today. This was a leftover from last week, and I am going to put it to use. We're going to put it to work here. But to start, I thought we would just jump off here with what I think is a really, really easy way to make a postage cluster, to use papers maybe that you already have and that you just love so much, and maybe even you're hoarding. And I understand the hoarding. I get it. I always say here all the time on this channel, don't hoard, let's use it. I know it can be hard. I actually think I'm going to come over a little bit more on here. So what I thought I would do, I'm going to go ahead and trim up this existing card. And this is the outer part of it. And I know there's different ways to use this, and I'm going to be sharing that with you today as well. So hang on, because we do have several more ideas here today besides just this one I'm sharing now. I'm going to go ahead and trim this out so I can go ahead and die cut this middle piece as well as this outer piece. All right, so we'll start with our outer piece here. Just so happens to fit perfectly on this Platinum Scout, and I love that. I love this Scout for being able to just come right onto my workspace and just fit so nicely. I have also the larger Spellbinders, the P6. It's a full-size die cutting machine. It sits on another space because I just don't have the room for it right here in my working space. So that's that story. Okay, now something I'm going to go ahead and point out now, but we'll be doing this later on. This little piece here, the second component to this, you could actually set it right inside and you could then make a frame. We're going to do that later, but I have a feeling you've already figured that out, especially if you went ahead and picked up these dies. And yep, they make great postage frames too. Which is another reason why I wanted to come back in here. Oops, sorry for the bounce there. It's another reason I wanted to come back in here was because, but wait, there's more. There's more things we can be doing with these dies. And so one of the things I really, really want to continue to encourage is, you know, if we're buying different dies and whatnot, we're spending a little bit of money on them. But these are like durable goods, right? Those are tools we're definitely going to be using over and over again. And so if we're going to do that, then we might as well know how to use them over and over again. Before I put this in place, I do want, oops, I'm throwing stuff around over here. Hang on. There we go. I do want to go ahead and pull up the edge of this. I just want to give it, again, I kind of made what I have going on here with this pattern and with this real subtle pattern. It's a little subtle, and I'm actually absolutely okay with that. But to kind of help that a little bit, I just like to come in here, and you can use any sort of distress tool or a metal rulers, what I want to say, or I just use this old spatula I have here. And so it's just going to give it a little bit more pop. Okay, speaking of give this a little more pop, the thing with this today is that we're going to be keeping this pretty simple. And I know I just edged those edges. Yes, friends, I edged the edges. I'm still going to come in here with my favorite little stamp set here and just give a little bit of detail here and there to this stamp. To this card, rather. And I'm using the antique linen. You can see how that antique linen pops real nice on the blue background. I love that. Feel free to stamp your pattern paper. Have fun with the things that you love. I'm going to go with this little postage mark next and just come right along here on the edge with that. I love it. That antique linen is a nice combination with the Crafty Garden here. I keep wanting to reach for the script, but here's the thing. I have this sitting here. This is Vintage Scripts Rub-On in gold. And I have been playing, you can see I've been playing with these a little bit. These are beautiful. Oh my word, so beautiful. And one of the things I've been doing, I want to go on this side, is just keeping them in place here on their sheet and just coming along and just rubbing a few little parts of the rub-on. And the gold, let me make sure it's come off. Yeah. Let me just making sure what I want on here is coming off. Yeah. The gold is beautiful. It is such a lovely touch. Now, I'm going to want some down here, so I'm going to have to go ahead and cut the rest of this off here. So whatever works for you, if you like to use yours right from its sheet, go for that. If you're just wanting to use parts of it, then just do that as well, and kind of leave some kind of hanging over here like I did here. And I'm going to try to avoid that very, very top part because I don't want it to look like this triangle, or a triangle. I keep saying that. I said that in the last video. I don't want this rectangle of script to be on here. I want it to be real organic. That's what is going on here. Okay, so can you see that there? Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I just had to add it. Okay, let's finish this card up. At this point, we're keeping this one really, really doable. And so with that, I'm going to grab these foam squares. These are the real short ones. These are the 1 millimeter. And why did you grab the 1 millimeter, Jamie? It's the only ones I could find right now. Honestly, I can't find the 2 millimeter, which I tend to use more than anything. But it's okay. Just for this particular situation, I don't need this big, huge differentiation between the two levels. I know this is a busy background, but I think the little hit of the stamp in the gold just goes, oh, so good. And so I have this phrase here, follow your dreams. Now, can I say something? Because I'm going to. I am not really, what do I want to say? I'm not great at following my dreams. And something I figured out recently was I think I have to have these really huge and lofty dreams. Now, don't get me wrong. I think we need to have goals that kind of scare us a little bit. And that could even be goals in our making. And that's what I'm getting to. It could just be, there's this class I want to take. I'm not really sure I want to make the commitment. But I really want to learn from it. And so I think I'm going to put this above. I don't normally do this. I tend to be a let's put everything down here in the bottom right corner, but this is going to go up a little bit. This is going to be a great pre-made card for a scrapbook page, for maybe even pocket scrapbooking, if you can find a way to maybe to get that to fit in the pocket. Follow. Okay, so what do I mean by what I'm saying? I think sometimes we really kind of stump ourselves with our goals and our dreams, and we think they have to be these huge, gnarly, out of this world things. And sometimes it might just be as simple as maybe something you're afraid to do. Maybe you're afraid to make a commitment to something. Maybe you're afraid to plan a thing. But your heart knows this is something that's on my heart that I want to do. Anyway, that for me is a follow your dream kind of moment. And I've had one recently where I was kind of out of my element and something that I was being a part of and doing. And it kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety. But I kept talking to myself instead of listening to myself and deciding, you know what, James, you're going to do this. Oops, I forgot to do the edges. Let me do that real quick. You're going to do this. You're going to make this happen. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to feel comfortable, but you're going to be okay. So that's why I kind of adopted this phrase today of the follow your dreams, because I've just kind of come off of that. And I think I need a reminder. Okay, for this next one, I have a couple things here on the workspace. So let's kind of go in order of what I want to explain here. The last part one, I didn't use this the largest of these dies. This one is about 4 inches across. This one's about 3¼ inches across. I already have a pre-made background. I've already cut it out from this middle part. Okay. And then again with the background. And to remind you, in case you didn't see the first one, I'm kind of looking for contrast here. Sometimes the subtle is perfect. Sometimes I just want some contrast. I have cut these mini wildflowers. They're from the Vault collection from Tim Holtz. And I used some scrap pieces of the Crafty Garden. So basically the idea is they're going to kind of come in here like this. But I got some other things to do first. But wait, there's more. I want to grab the dot. I always want to call this dotted. It's not dotted. It's called box. I think it's called boxes. And it gets loved. You can see how well used this stencil is. I use this stencil quite often. When I was kind of playing with some of these ideas, I came in here really heavy with this ink and decided I don't like it that heavy. This is the antique linen. It's the same as the ink. And you can see this in that part 1 video. It's the distress ink on here is antique linen and speckled egg and tattered rose. And so then I came in here with this to just give a little bit more background, if you will. The other thing I'm thinking about, I have this other stamp set on my table. It's also from Creative Expressions. It's called Fly. It's beautiful, and it has all of these sentiments on it, which are terrific. Just some great single word sentiments, plus this gorgeous kind of a collage stamp. And I had originally thought about just stamping the whole thing on here and then coming back in with a cutout of the butterfly. It's not quite working. I've played with this for a little bit now, and it just wasn't quite working. So I've decided for right now, I'm just going to use it to add some details on the edges. And that's about all we're going to use the stamp for. I love the versatility of these kinds of collage stamps for this. You don't have to use the whole stamp set or the whole stamp itself. You can come in here and give it just a little bit more of the layers, the flat layers. And I think that's fantastic. I've used this, I should probably post it. I've used this on a art journal recently. So I loved how that worked out. But yeah, that's really cool how that turns out. And you could go over the whole thing. I'm really, right now, less is more for me. That's where I'm going with this. The next thing though I do know, and we use this on the previous one, is this, what are these called? Vintage Scripts Gold. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go a little heavier or if I'm happy with this one. And I'm looking here, there's so many patterns to choose from. It's just fantastic. But I'm really liking this one right here. Of course you are, the one you haven't pulled out yet. But I like it. So we're going to play this game called I Want What I Want. And so in this instance, I really like this little bit heavier script going on here. So I'm just going to trim this away because it's kind of surrounded on 3 sides here. There's plenty of this script because there's more of it up here too. That's pretty cool. I love how there is so much of this. And so I'm going to do my all-time trick on this. I guess it's not really a trick if I do it all the time. But I'm going to, I like adding elements up here. You just saw with the stamp work and with the stencil. I like adding elements kind of up here at the top. And then down here as well. So that's what I'm going to kind of do. I'm not going to add all of this. I just want a little touch of this gold. I am a little obsessing about this gold. When I first got them, I did a video when I unboxed this, and I was gushing about all of these. Now that they're actually out and on projects, now the real gushing begins. So then now I like to take, so I've got a little bit of this kind of cutaway on here, kind of pulled away. I'm going to come in here with that other part and do like 3 lines of this. And if I get a little bit of the other parts on it, I'm okay with that. That came out so clean. That's crazy. I really am impressed too, because sometimes this doesn't happen, that, wow, look at that. You've got a whole nother strip here. What are you going to do with that? Oh, let's not do that. Hang on here. Hang on. We need to come in here with a little bit of triage. Can she save the patient? Yes, I think I can. Okay, yeah, I didn't want that to come back over. All right, so that is really cool. Okay, here's a real trick I have for you now. When I have these extra pieces like this, and I haven't used the whole thing, and I do that a lot. I cut something out, and very often I don't use the whole thing. I'll come back in here on this backer paper, trying to get it straightened out here. This is going a little rogue on me. Okay, and I'll just come in and staple it back onto the backer paper. But it's stapled in a place where there's no rub-on. So that's my little trick. That's a real trick. I think one of the things I wanted to do on this, I wanted to really make sure I went outside the lines this time. So we are going to pop up the middle part of this die set. But before I do that, I want to get these in place, grabbing the little foam squares, and now having kind of an idea of where I want these dies to go. You kind of have to kind of put them in place before I keep punching out my little divots here. Those divots? Brads? What are they called? Anyway, you kind of have to place it a little bit before you actually adhere it, to give yourself an idea, where is this going to work? Do I actually even like it? I could have probably come back and added a little bit of the antique linen to these more white flowers, but I didn't, and so I'm going to embrace it. So I have a little square back here behind the flower part and right there on that leaf, and I'm going to kind of figure out where this is going here. It's nice to have these other leaves not completely adhered down, because you're going to want to be able to move whatever your die is that you're moving in and out of here. You're going to want to be able to have some room for that. And so I'm going to put it over here on this other side of this flower part too. So getting this in place here, kind of like that right there. All right. And so now these guys, I'm going to kind of go in the back, and I think I am going to need to squeeze in there with some glue because I really don't want them popped up. Making sure my glue works. Almost works. And the wonderful thing about this glue, dries clear. So you can kind of make a bit of a mess with it. And it's going to dry clear for you. So I'm finagling this so it sits on top of that glue in there. I need it to move over. There we go. I needed it to move over some more. All right, that's in place. And I think I want one more in here. I might actually want this pretty short. Oh, actually, that's going to be okay. Oh, I don't hate that. You got to just play with it. You got to just play with it. You got to... This is maybe kind of ties into what I talked about earlier. I know I talked about following your dreams, but I think I can't help it sometimes. I hear a lot of, I just don't know how to get things placed. I wish I could do it like you. I hope I can show you guys. There's a lot of trial and error in this. And like, this isn't rocket science, right? We're just playing with paper here. So the mistakes you make, as far as I can tell, as far as I know, so at this point, they haven't been fatal yet. I'm just saying. I think I wanted to put this underneath, but I think now that I've done it, that I should have maybe punched some holes underneath. Let's see. What do you think? Oh, I think we got it to work. And hence also the good thing about not adhering flat your elements. And this goes for anything I share on here. This isn't just about putting floral die cuts on a postage die. This goes for any of our elements. Don't adhere them down flat. You just never know when you're going to get a moment of glory in your brain and realize, oh wait, I wish I could do this. Now, of course, the adhesive doesn't last forever. You can cut it off, but you know, sometimes it's just better. Just go in with the idea of, you know, I might want this different. Oh, I like how that turned out. That's fun. I love everything just really, really elevated up here like it is. And I'm trying to decide what I want here. We're going to keep this really simple. We're going to do grow here. I think grow is completely appropriate for the flowers. And I think it's going to go right there. I'm going to grab the vintage photo. I think it's going to go play nicely with the gold. Let me make sure I get this on here straight. Now, this could be on a separate piece of paper, and then you could pop it up as well. I thought, hey, let's just stamp right on the surface. And I like how that turned out. These squares, gonna get them on the corners and a couple in the middle because I know I'm not popping anything else up on this. And then I'm gonna adhere it to the postage shape, and we're gonna call this one good. And I'm kind of a fan of that, guys. I'm kind of happy how this turned out. All right, here's the last one today. I've used that second to the last large die again. Okay, you see I have it still attached. I've already die cut it, but I want to show you what I did. And the mint tape, super helpful to keep all things in place. Okay, so then all these pieces come up, and so you have this. That just, we're going to pop this up, and you're going to see how this works out here in a minute. Okay, I'm backing this up with some scrap paper that I have. I just wanted to give it a bit more of a good base so it wasn't going to be too wobbly, and so I'm just using 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive foam. Fits perfectly in between the solid cut and the design of the die. So that's what's happening there, just kind of finishing that up as we go along. I'm going to pop that on there, and I was really loving how because I had a pattern of that inky background, just like you can see there, how it matches up, but it's cut. I don't know, it's just super inspired me. And yes, of course, I am grabbing the gold vintage scripts rub-ons again. I'm going to be adding a little bit heavier application this time, just because I want to. But what I really want to point out and make sure I'm sharing with you is there's a variation on a theme that's really going on here when you look at these 3 cards that we made over the course of this video. And that's so much fun to bounce off of one idea and then find another idea from it. Here I'm adding from the Crafty Garden rub-ons a larger butterfly rub-on that's going to be sort of a focal point on this card, and it lays over the gold rub-ons and it looks gorgeous. It's so beautiful. But I also decided to go ahead and grab the laser cut as well. I'm hanging on to it. It fell off the card right now. I like the dimension. I love the dimension of that postage die around the solid part of that die. But then I love the dimension again of the rub-on against this little laser butterfly that's just fluttering about on this card. So now I'm deciding on the sentiment. And while we never have to have a sentiment, and forgive me, my camera goes a little loopy here at the very end. So just stay focused, friends. Just stay focused with me. But I was going back with a sentiment and realizing, you know why I have a sentiment? Because there is an emotion that goes, there's a story that's going on here. Even though I don't have a photo, the making is a story. And the stay curious, I finally just landed on it. And I was like, absolutely, this should be saying stay curious. It's right where I am in a lot of areas in my life. And I love what that's telling me yet again on this card. So thank you so much for watching. Please check out part 1. We have a total of 6 cards that are roughly based on a variation. A lot of similar ideas happening here. And the making is so much fun. So my encouragement to you, you guessed it, stay curious.